What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Shocker, shocker, shocker. Eddie Hearn caught in telling another blatant lie. This guy sits up on IFL TV after the numbers came out last week for the offer that was made for Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua, $12.5 million, and the news coming out that he had offered him 12% because they had estimated the fight to be at $100 million. Now, what did Eddie Hearn say, and what has many UK fans of Anthony Joshua said since that news came out? You guys are all so ridiculous to think the fight is $100 million. This is not a $100 million fight. And Eddie Hearn got on IFL TV and gave an hour-long talk about how this was not about all the other things around the fight, and how one of the things he said was that people are crazy to think that this is a $100 million fight. It's more like we don't know what the fight's going to be. And $12.5 million is many times more than Deontay Wilder's ever earned, right? But they'd be crazy to think that this fight is a $100 million fight, right? Do we agree that's what Eddie Hearn said? We should all agree. I'm not going to play the article, but you know that's what he said. Let me read something to you from an article that came out March 28th, which was about a week and a half before the offer was sent over to Deontay Wilder's camp. Oh, wow. Hearn said, "I think it's a real possibility, and that's something we're looking at. Imagine how big Deontay Wilder would be if he signed for us in the heavyweight mix, and we got it. Tony Bellew against David Haye, Joshua, Dillian White. If I was Deontay Wilder, how could I not think about that signing with us was a good idea? We've got a foot in with American partners, and we work with everybody. I could pay him probably double his highest purse ever to face White, and then could set up a Joshua fight very easily. Why wouldn't he do that? And contractually, he can do it because he doesn't have a promotional agreement with anyone at the moment. Wilder banked a career-high purse around 1.5 million pounds for his part in the March victory over Luis Ortiz in March, but rejected a chance to earn double that facing Dillian White. Hearn believes he would be able to make it that into the richest heavyweight fight in history should both Wilder and Joshua be part of his promotional stable." Now here's where the quote is coming from Hearns. "Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson combined to generate a fight worth 73 million pounds when they tangled in Memphis in 2002. It remains the richest heavyweight fight of them all, and only events involving Floyd Mayweather have done better since." But Hearn said, "Of course it depends on pay-per-view buys, but I would hope that a fight between Joshua and Wilder generates over 100 million pounds. I think it would generate more than Tyson did against Lennox. So Deontay, come and party, and we'll double, triple, quadruple your paydays." Let me read that again. Hearn said, "Of course it depends on pay-per-view buys, but I would hope that a fight between Joshua and Wilder generates over 100 million pounds. Let's read this again. I would hope that a fight between Joshua and Wilder generates over 100 million pounds. So, where did the number come from? The $100 million? That came from Eddie Hearn. How now does Eddie Hearn say that he would hope, when he's in a conversation about Deontay Wilder signing with him and how valuable the fight would be between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, where that fight would be $100 million, how come all of a sudden, when he sends the offer over there to Deontay Wilder's team, it's a $40 million fight, right? $50 million fight. Now, notice he didn't say that if he fights Dillian White Deontay Wilder fought Dillian White on pay-per-view, that then it could eventually one day become a $100 million fight. He said that he would expect one fight with Dillian White, sign with him, sign 100 million, then fight Dillian White once, then fight Anthony Joshua. And then that Anthony Joshua fight would be a £100 million fight. Now, let me do a little math for you here. 100 million pounds is a lot more than $100 million because pounds are valued more highly than dollars. So what Eddie Hearn said was he would think that a fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder would generate $143 million. $143 million. And friend, 12.4 million is 0.83% of $143 million. And those are Eddie Hearn's words. Those numbers did not come from Al Heyman. They did not come from Shelley Finkel. They did not come from Fanon International Boxing. They didn't come from ESPN. They did not come from Showtime. They came from Fast Eddie Hearn. When Eddie Hearn was talking about Deontay Wilder signing with him. Because Deontay Wilder doesn't have a promotional agreement. Now, where have we heard that type of thing before? Where promoters don't want their cash cow to fight guys that aren't signed by them. Because if Anthony Joshua fights Deontay Wilder and Deontay Wilder signed to Matchroom, then Eddie Hearn gets paid on both sides. Because he's the only promoter. Amazing, isn't it? How with Eddie Hearn, all you have to do is just listen to what he has to say and then wait a week. And you will find out that more than likely the dude told you a lie. Now, somebody please explain to me how Eddie Hearn interviewed says, of course it depends on pay-per-view buys, but I would hope that the fight between Joshua and Wilder generates over 100 million pounds. It's right there in paper. Of course it depends on the pay-per-view buys. Of course it does. Without a doubt, it's going to depend on pay-per-view buys. UK pay-per-view and US pay-per-view. But funny enough, I think Deontay Wilder's team also believes that it's a $100 million fight. They believe it's a $100 million fight. Eddie Hearn, according to what he says in the independent.co.uk, believes that it is over 100 million pounds, which would be $141.32 million. And to offer him a flat fee of $12.5 million on a fight that he just said he believed was worth more than 143.32 million. To offer him 12.5 million is to offer him 8%. That is a 92-8 split, according to what Eddie Hearn says. Not what Deontay Wilder says, what Eddie Hearn says. So I'm going to be very interested to hear. How this can be turned around to Deontay Wilder being delusional. So now who's lying? I said it in my video before. With Eddie Hearn, you don't have to know what the numbers are. You just got to wait for him to say one thing and then say something else. On March 28th, he said he thought it was he thought it was a $100 million fight or $143 million fight. But then on IFL TV, he says that he thinks that it could be 50 million. It could be a $40 million fight or a 40 million pound fight. Which is it? Is it 40 million or is it 143 million, Eddie? Which one do you really believe? Do you believe it's 143 million or do you believe it's 40 million? I don't know because you said both. You said both. Now the lies, like I said before, I did a video when I talked about the flat fee and what a flat fee meant. First of all, a flat fee you give when you think you're gonna make your money. You don't pay a flat fee to somebody when you don't think that you're gonna make your money. Because if he was really concerned and thought it was 40 million, why would you give him a flat? If you really thought it was a $40 million fight, a $50 million fight, why would you guarantee him 33%? Because if you come underneath the numbers, then you're going to lose money, right? And you're stuck paying him that. So if you had any question about whether or not you were going to make your money, you would never offer him a fixed fee fight. You only offer him a fixed fee fight when you know for sure, certain that you are very confident, not know for certain that you're going to make significantly more than that. But Eddie Hearn, he was telling the truth. He was lying yesterday, but today he's telling the truth. Or was it he was telling the truth yesterday and he's lying today? I don't know. I get confused. But it seemed like the fight was $143 million when he was pitching the idea of Deontay Wilder signing with him. But when he's sending offers to Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder's not signing with him, then it goes down to $40 million. Then it's down to $40 million, right? So let me get this right, because I'm trying to make sense of what this guy's saying. Your boy in UK. I'm trying to figure out what he's saying. What's the difference between $143 million and $40 million? Is that $102 million? I guess him signing with Matchroom is where that extra $100 million comes from. That's got to be where it is, because he knows that he's such a great promoter that Matchroom Boxing's expert promotion in the United States and in the UK and worldwide is worth in and of itself $100 million and will take the value of the fight from $40 million up to $143 million. Because those are the numbers that he gave, right? Let me read it again, because I like to rub this in, because I'm waiting for somebody to tell me how I'm delusional. Because if I'm delusional, Eddie Hearn is delusional. Of course, it depends on pay-per-view buys, but I would hope that a fight between Joshua and Wilder generates over $100 million. Now, here's something. Didn't Eddie Hearn in his interview with IFL say that if he's more than 5% off, he lives and dies by these numbers? That's what he said, right? He lives and dies by these numbers. And if he's more than 5% off, he is really mad. If he's more than 5% off. And that's why he knows this isn't a $100 million fight. Now, let me ask you a question. Was he living and dying over the numbers in March when he gave the interview? This interview came out Wednesday, March 28th. Now, was he living and dying over those numbers March 28th? Was he more than 5 pounds off, 5% off of 100 million pounds? So it's either 5%. And I love that he gave that $100 million round, 100 million pound real round one, right? 100 million pounds, that's 5 million pounds. It's either 95 million pounds or 100 million pounds. Or if you want to do the dollars, it's either 100, what's that? About $7 million one way or the other. So it's either $150 million. It's either $150 million fight or it's $138 million fight. Now, see, in 2008, you know what I'm saying? In March 28th of 2018, if he's 5% off, it's 0.8%. It's any way you cut it, man. He's either lying then or he's lying now. If he was 5% off then, or is he 5? I guarantee you what, man. He must really be pissed if he did some new math in between March 28th and the second week of April, right? Because he was way more than 5% off. If it went from $143 million fight to a $50 million fight or $40 million fight, that's $100,000 off. That's 200%. He was off by 200%, at least 200%. So, I can continue to rub this, go over this again and again and again. Here's the facts, fellas. The $100 million that was estimated if it was estimated by Deontay Wilder's team, was more conservative than Eddie Hearn's estimation. More conservative. Industry experts believed it was somewhere between $80 million and $100 million. And that it could be, and many industry experts believed that it was more. Guess who one of the industry experts that believed it was more was? Eddie Hearn on March 28th, when he said that it was a £100 million or $143 million fight. But it's only apparently a $148 million fight if Deontay Wilder signs a promotional deal with him. But if Deontay Wilder doesn't sign a promotional deal with him, then it's, only a £40 million fight. Only a $40 million fight. And I can't remember if it was $53 million pounds or 40 million pounds or whatever it is. But clearly, man, he did some major change. He did some major recalculations once it was clear to him that Deontay Wilder would not sign with him. So let's get rid of all this pretense. Let's get rid of all this other nonsense. Eddie Hearn gave the guy a fight that was unacceptable. Gave him an offer that he didn't expect would be accepted. He gave him, according to his own numbers, Eddie Hearn's numbers, he offered him 8%, an 8% flat fee, based on the numbers that Eddie Hearn gave, an 8% flat fee. Now, you guys think that because this is his biggest payday ever, that means that Anthony Joshua's side is worth $131 million. $131 million for Anthony Joshua's team and $12.5 million for Deontay Wilder's team. All comedy aside, do you think that's a fair deal? And absolutely, Anthony Joshua is 100% correct. If they offered that deal tomorrow, Anthony Joshua should take that deal and should fight that deal. And I'm sure, but we all know that that's not a fight. That's not a deal that was going to get accepted. Because fights of this magnitude, people do on a percentage basis. They do a 60-40 split. They do a 50-50 split. They do a 70-30 split, whatever. But right there, that tells you the value that Eddie Hearn believes Deontay Wilder brings to the table. Because Eddie Hearn is saying that there's $100 million extra that would be coming to the table because of a Deontay Wilder fight, because of pay-per-view in the United States and pay-per-view in UK, pay-per-view worldwide. But people continue in the UK, certain fan bases continue just to believe whatever comes out of the mouth of Eddie Hearn. But you don't really believe it. You just don't want to see your guy get in the ring with Deontay Wilder because at the end of the day, you're worried about him losing. You're worried about him losing. So you can make up as many stories as you want about him, windmill Wilder. Vladimir Klitschko doesn't say that. Vladimir Klitschko talked about those windmills and said, you know what? About those windmills, you don't know where they're coming from. And he's very fast. He's very strong, and that you don't know what side of your head he's going to hit you on. You don't know what angle the punches are coming from. That's very, very dangerous. He's 40-0 with 39 knockouts. He's very, very dangerous. So let's just fess it up, man. Let's just fess up to it. Have your boy Anthony Joshua make a fair offer, a percentage split, and let these guys both make killer paydays. And more importantly, let us see the fight. But lastly, stop trying to make it act as if Eddie Hearn is honest in any way, shape, or form. The dude lies like a rug. And with that, I'm out. Peace.